Are you nervous?
Yes.
Why?
I just don't like being on camera. I hate it.
We're just chilling in the room talking. That's
Yeah.
all. The camera's not even here.
Sounds good.
All right?
Yep.
So about 10:50. Put my phone on Do Not Disturb. All right. Let's get after it. Let's rock and roll. So what's up?
Sounds good. Not much.
Not much.
Just living the dream.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Keeping busy?
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. So for people who don't know you, who are you? How long you been in the business? What office do you work out of?
So my name is Alana Boreo. I've been doing real estate, been licensed for 4.5 years. Before that, I actually worked for an attorney doing like estates, probate. So I've been in the business for about 10 years, and I'm out of the Coldwell Banker Professionals Lapeer office.
That's Alana, right?
Yes,
I'll never
Alana.
She called me out at, I think it was Hard Knocks.
Yep.
I kept calling her Elena, and she's like, no, it's Alana from like 48, and so I'm like, shit. All right, I'm going to make
That's
sure.
everybody.
Yeah.
I have to give the whole, it's like Atlanta with no T's.
Atlanta with no T. Atlanta.
Yep.
Right. So kind of talk about how you got into the business and, you know, how long it took you to kind of really take off and what did you really do to jumpstart your business?
So I got into the business due to my dad. He owns a scrap metal company, and he was constantly buying commercial buildings. And he's like, you know, you're not happy with your career. I was doing law. I was getting ready to go to law school, actually, and realized it's not my dream job. The hours, the pay, the stress, not worth it.
Yeah.
So he's like, why don't you get into that? And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I actually love it. So when I worked at the law firm doing probates, estates, I loved that portion of it. So kind of transitioning into this was kind of a smart move for me. I don't know where I was going with that.
Where'd your first deal come from?
My first deal came from a referral from my mom's friend.
Okay.
I had no clue what I was doing. It was this $350,000 house, and I kind of walked in there. I had no mentor or anything. So I went in there and priced the home, and thank goodness it sold quickly.
Right.
But that's where my first deal came from.
My first deal was a FSBO, actually,
boy.
and I had no idea what the hell I was doing either. And I went out there, and I kind of fumbled my way through it, and she's like, okay, well, yeah, let's take care of it. I'm like, okay, that's perfect. Let me come back because I didn't know how to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah,
So I'm
course.
like, let's
and
set
there's
it,
so much
right?
to it, too.
So let's set another appointment. I'll come back out. Darwin actually had to come back out with me because I didn't know how to do the paperwork, but got it signed.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So real estate's just pretty much talking to people. So now you being in the business for as long as you have and learn what you have, what's kind of been your biggest takeaways and what do you think is the biggest challenge about real estate?
So the biggest challenge is obviously the steady income. And that's something that I'm learning. Obviously, there's not a steady income with it, and your referral base is huge. So really keeping up on your SOI, your past clients, because nothing is guaranteed.
Right. Nothing is guaranteed. And so you joined the coaching program a couple months ago. I know you've been kind of thinking about it. You've been to some of our trainings. So what was it that kind of put you over the edge and, you know, made you ready for it?
So you know my life. We've
Yes.
been talking for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So very chaotic, being a mom of a 3-year-old, trying to obviously run a real estate business. I just needed the organization, and I knew that I was trying all these different things, but I needed somebody to kind of guide me on where I needed to be. And I'm very thankful for that, and we're still working on it.
Still working on it. Still
And my
work in
Fridays are
progress.
still chaos, but I'm trying.
Yeah. We'll make it through it, right?
Yes, definitely.
Trial and error. So you that's a good topic too though. How do you run your business and also manage a 3-year-old toddler? How does that even work?
It's difficult. It's very, very difficult. I have to stick to my schedule. So I know we talked, and my schedule is 3 days a week, and that's 9 o'clock to about 3:30. So I drop her off at school, pick her up, and I try to fit everything in that time frame. Obviously, I do like night showings and things once my husband gets home, but I just have to stick to a schedule. Otherwise, when it goes off schedule, pure chaos.
And so what measures are you taking other than me being on you every day? What measures have you taken to help you stick to that schedule?
So I am part of our mentor program through Coldwell Banker. So that really helps me stay on track too, because now I have to help other agents stay on track. So in turn, that makes me look at my schedule. What do I have going on? Where do I need to be? So just having that accountability of other people in the office too really, really helps.
That's when you're the sharpest too, because when you got to teach somebody something or you have to hold them accountable, there's no excuse. You can't not show up because they're
Exactly.
depending on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So You do a lot of social media too, and I know we've been pushing more video, more
Yeah.
reels and stuff like that. And your last one was super, super awesome. The Home Depot one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be relatable and real. I mean, that's what agents do. And sometimes you have to do other things like build a stair railing to make the deal go through. So,
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, go to her Facebook page because she had a deal where you had to put up a railing, right?
yeah, we actually had the appraiser come out 3 different times and flagged different things. So, the last one was my buyers built the stairs outside of the sliding door, but then it needed a hand railing. And, my buyer, he's long distance. He couldn't make it there. And I said, well, we're going to figure out how to build a stair railing today. So,
Yeah.
my sister and I, she's also an agent, we went and bought it, put it up, and it passed.
Yeah. So she's got that video up there, so check it out. It's awesome. But how do you come up with ideas for content? You said, just being yourself, being relatable. So where does that come from?
Honestly, just the day-to-day life. Every day is different in real estate. So kind of whatever is going on, if we have a closing or it's an appraisal issue or an inspection, I just try to be real and show people that the process isn't as hard as they may think.
Okay. So talking to the younger agents now, because we both got into it when we were younger, I'd love to hear your perspective. How did you overcome that obstacle of people thinking, hey, you're just too young, you don't know anything, you don't have experience? How did you overcome that?
I still haven't. I have my days, but when you realize that you're doing the same job as somebody that's been doing it for 45 years and you're doing it well and making money and have happy clients, that just pushes me to keep going. I try to ignore those people because they're out there.
Oh, yeah.
You're young. You don't know what you're talking about. I know more than you, but I just try to ignore them.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the same job as them.
Yeah, of course, right? And I had the luxury of facial hair, so that helped me out when I was earlier. So
You look a little older
yeah.
than you were.
So I kept the beard when I first got into it because that helped me get over it. But yeah, if you have the confidence, if you have the skill set, and you're able to deliver for your client, that question should never really even come up. So all the agents out there that are listening that are younger, really focus on building up your skill set, focus on building up your confidence to where they don't even think to ask you. The only reason when they ask is say, hey, you did such a good job. I have to know. You look pretty young. How old are you?
Right. And I look younger than I am. Most people think, oh, you're just out of high school. You're 18 years old. Well, I am 28.
Yeah.
But, they still, no matter what, they're always going to have that mindset. They're always going to think they're better than you. And it's just ignoring those people and just keep pushing forward and prove them wrong.
Yep. Just keep pushing forward. So that's the other good point, too, is so what makes you get up in the morning? What's your motivation? What's your driving factor?
So obviously my husband and my daughter. My husband has been very, very supportive from the beginning, watching the baby while I got to run out and do showings or, he's, especially this week, I've had a crazy week and he's had to leave work early, pick her up from school. Yesterday I was out till 9:30 at night. So he had dinner and all that stuff planned for her. And then my daughter, obviously I'm trying to set her up for the future to show her that it's possible, and being an entrepreneur is very, very hard. But I want her to know that she can do anything she puts her mind to also.
Absolutely. And that's, limitations are all self-imposed.
Yes.
Right?
And I'm learning that.
Yes.
You have to get out of your own head and just prove to yourself and to everybody else that you can do it.
And where do you think that comes from? Do you think that stems from doing the work, gaining the experience, or is it just something you have to train your mind to do?
Just train your mind to do, honestly. I don't think it's ever just going to come naturally that you don't have fears of other people or fear of failure. So it's just proving to yourself every day that you can do it.
Absolutely. And you got a pretty good group out in Lapeer that you guys all work together. So kind of share about what you guys are doing, because you do something every Friday, right?
Yeah, so we actually switched it up to try to get more people involved, but Tuesdays or Fridays, whichever we choose, we actually do an agent-led workshop where we all get around our round table and we discuss, what topics do you guys want to dive in on? Do you need help with social media? Do you need help with, contacting your sphere? And we do it together because we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to make it, trying to do better for our clients. So it helps to have that support that they're there with you also failing and succeeding, and it just helps to have a group doing it together.
Absolutely. Especially if you're afraid to do something, like if you're afraid to call your sphere or if you're afraid to call for sale by owners, putting yourself in that group setting where everyone else is doing it is going to help you get over that. So if you're in that situation, get with agents in your office and establish some sort of agent-led workshop and do it every week and do it together. Because if you just, you're sitting in the office or you're sitting at home every day, you ain't going to do it.
No, and
It's
you'll
not gonna happen.
beat yourself down too when, you had the 8th FISBO yell at you. You're like, I'm done with FISBOs for today. But that's when you should, realign, talk to your friends, your coworkers, and say, I'm having this issue. How did you guys overcome it? Or how can I do better? And there's so many different opinions and options to choose from. And it just really, really helps.
Speaking of beating yourself down, someone's a little guilty of that.
Yes.
So we're all hard on ourselves, right? But you got to give yourself a little bit of grace. You got to realize that, this is a learning process. So I know we've been working on that, but what's kind of the things that you beat yourself up over the most, and how do you get yourself to stop doing it?
So mine is I always feel like I'm not successful enough. And, talking to you and then really writing things down and looking at what I've accomplished kind of helps me get over that. I was actually thinking about that on the way here, doing this podcast. I'm like, this is something I would have never, ever done. But I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. And I know I have, the backing to show that I do know what I'm talking about. And I just want to share that with people. And I have to remind myself daily that that's why I'm doing what I do.
Speaking of success, because my opinion of success is all perceptive. It's all a matter of personal preference. So what would be your definition of success?
I don't even know. And that's probably why I struggle with that. If I look at it now, what I thought 5 years ago, I just wanted to be my own boss. I didn't want to go to a 9 to 5. I wanted to be like financially independent, and I'm there. And 5 years ago, I never thought I would be here.
Isn't that funny?
So I would call that success, but in my own head, I just always want more.
It's funny too, because I talk to so many agents where, like, the same thing. I 5 years ago, I would view where I'm at right now as success. But even though you're at that spot right now, you feel like you're not successful because you always want more, right? So I think it's important to take a step back and really acknowledge and look at, okay, this is what I've accomplished, putting it down on paper, right? So yes, I'm on my way, but there's nothing wrong with wanting more.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
It's always good to have goals, but also don't beat yourself up if you're not there yet. Maybe you think it's a 1-year goal, but it really is a 5-year goal. So as long as you're constantly moving forward, you're always successful.
Yeah. And the more successful you are, the more problems you're going to have.
Yes, definitely.
Because that's what makes success, is solving those problems, creating value for people. And it's funny too, because some people, and it drives me crazy, and I'm sure you've heard this too, is when someone says, "Oh, you're so lucky." Or, that must be so nice. It's like, dude, you have no idea what has gone on behind the scenes. You just see the finished product.
Yeah, I have a lot of that I constantly hear. My dad is a successful businessman, and what despises me the most is when people say, "Oh, your dad gave that to you,"
Oh, my
or
God.
You're just lucky, you're well off. And it's like, I have worked very, very hard to be where I am. And that's where I have to tell myself, I don't need the validation of others. I know what I've done and what I'm doing. So that's one thing I hear very, very often.
Happens all the time. And it's just like, all you can do is like smile and be like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I'll rip your head off.
Yeah,
But,
there's no explanation needed. It's
No.
like, think what you want, but that's okay. I'll keep pushing forward.
Yeah. So I think it's important, because success is always moving based on where you're currently at. Because if you're constantly improving, your idea of success is going to change, because you're going to want more, because you now have more to offer. So I think it's important for you to figure out, okay, in the next 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, what is it do I want to accomplish? What is my idea of success? And then once you accomplish that, then you continue to scale up. Because if you say, oh, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm whatever, you got to break that down.
That's a great goal, but
Yeah.
how are you going to get there? Because that's kind of where it started. Why I got into coaching was I knew where I wanted to be. I just had no clue how to get there. And I was trying all these different things. They weren't working. And I'm like, well, I just can't do it then. And it's like, no, it is attainable. You just have to break it down to reasonable goals, schedules, things like that.
Yep. So I want to do $5 million. This is what we do with our business plan, right? I want to do $5 million this year. Okay. Well, what does that look like monthly? What does that look like weekly? What does that look like daily? So that way you go in every single day and you know exactly what it is you have to accomplish and what is required to get there, as opposed to just saying, yeah, I want to do $5 million for the year and I have no idea whether or not I'm on track. I have no idea what I have to do consistently, and it's just kind of flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, and we kind of do that weekly with my reports.
Yep.
I'm bad at keeping track of how many people do I talk to. And it's like, well, that's a very important thing, because the more people you talk to, the more people you can help out. And if you're not even keeping track, you have no idea. Are you talking to 20? Are you talking to 200? You don't know.
We have no idea.
No.
So it's like we have no idea what your progress is. We have no idea what action you're taking. We have no idea what your skill set is. So of course it's going to be difficult to get there because we have no idea what the hell we're even looking at.
Exactly.
Right? So you being out there, what are you kind of seeing right now? Like, what are you seeing in the market? What are you seeing with your buyers and sellers?
So obviously online, I'm seeing a ton of people say, I'm waiting for the market to crash or come down or the interest rates to fall. Well, we're not seeing that. They're evening out. They are where they are, and I don't foresee a drastic change anytime soon.
No.
So even for my buyers, especially the first-time home buyers, they're like, the rates are just so high, and I'm like, well, what's your monthly payment? What are you comfortable with? Because at the end of the day, who cares about the rate? If it's you can afford $1,200 and we get you in one for $1,100, aren't you happy?
Right.
So that's how I approach that. And even selling, they're like, well, if I sell, where can I go? And it's like, well, that's when you need a real estate agent that's well-rounded, that can navigate you through contingencies and, concessions and things like that to help you get somewhere. And I always hear, I don't want to be homeless if I sell my house. And it's one of my friends, I just sold her condo. She has a 1-year-old and she's pregnant. She's like, I can't be homeless in the meantime. So we did this crazy contingency of 60 days on her home, 30 days on the new home. And we made the timelines work. And I said, see, I told you I wouldn't make you homeless.
See, you delivered.
Yeah.
You delivered. Now you got a client for life. But in regards to the market, it's more advantageous for the agents who are skilled because now we're needed more. Now we have value, right? And to the whole interest rate thing, you're totally right. It's not about the rate. It's about how much can I afford monthly? Where do I want to be at to be comfortable?
Right.
And the other thing to keep in mind, even though you're hearing all this crazy, right now is actually, you're in a great opportunity because if you think about it, okay, I'm a buyer. I'm going to wait till rates go down. How many other people are thinking that? So if rates do go down, if they do, prices are going to skyrocket.
We're going to have the multiple highest and best and 25 people fighting over the same house. Right now, there's not as much competition. So you have a little bit of an advantage where you can ask for those concessions from sellers and potentially come to closing with $0.
Right. So you got to ask yourself, what would I rather have? Would I rather have more of an average interest rate right now and buy at a lower price or potentially wait? And even if they do go down, which they're not going to go down back to 2 to 3%.
No.
But even if they do go down a little bit, let's just say the 5s or the 4s, prices are going to skyrocket because now everyone and their brother is thinking the exact same thing as you, which is I want to buy, and now you're buying much more at a higher price.
It's just simple supply and demand.
Yeah.
And it's a constant battle as agents to try to, balance that for
Mm-hmm.
people. So it's like you said, the prices will drop and interest rates will drop. Well, then you're going to have a crazy demand. So people are going to be all over these houses.
Yep. So if you're really thinking about it, that's something we should be educating both our buyers and sellers on because I know they're not hearing that message. They're just waiting for the interest rates to go back down, which it's not going to happen at 2 to 3%. So if you had to pick one of each, one thing you love the most about real estate, one thing that you don't so much love, what would it be?
So the one thing I love about real estate is I truly love helping people. And especially when you get that person that's like, I just can't afford a house, showing them that they can and getting them into that home is like the most rewarding feeling ever. And it's contributing to, their wealth too. They're paying towards an investment. They're having a tax write-off now. And it's ultimately helping them. They're not paying 100% interest at renting.
Right.
Now they're paying that 6-7% that they didn't want to pay, but they're happy and it's contributing to something.
Right.
The one thing that I despise about real estate is that some agents are very difficult to work with. So navigating those relationships, always being professional, and there's not always professionals out there. So when you have to deal with somebody that isn't like you, just navigating that relationship to just keep your integrity.
It's a really good test of your patience.
Had one yesterday.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And so you have a successful real estate business, but you're also involved in a couple other businesses. You've got your hands in different pots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what else are you doing and how do you manage it all?
How do I manage it all? I don't know if I am managing it all, but, I'm surviving. I'm making it work. So I also own a boat storage company up in Houghton Lake. So we service Houghton Lake and Higgins Lake, and I'm in that with a couple different partners. So that helps when you have partners because, the weight is on multiple people. And then we have a couple rentals, me and my husband. So dealing with the renters and all that fun stuff. And, during COVID, we couldn't kick anybody out. So there was times where we weren't getting paid and we, fronted the money and aren't getting paid back. So that was a process. And then obviously my real estate business. So I got a couple different things.
That's a lot on top of a 3-year-old.
On top of a 3-year-old.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So what's your excuse for not prospecting? What's your excuse for not showing up and going to the office? I mean, if she can do all that, then what are we doing? Right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time management. So I know working on this, and it's a big challenge for a lot of people, is balance, right? That work-life balance, that was the main reason why you came to me, is you wanted more balance. So since coming on, how has it changed? How has it improved? And what have you done to kind of establish a little more balance?
So I was guilty of never turning my phone off. And how many times my husband's yelled at me, like, turn your phone over, don't look at it, we're eating dinner. And it's like just, realizing that family is important too. And it's okay to set a time for yourself. You're not available 24/7. So I did a 7 p.m. cutoff time because I have, my nighttime routine with my daughter, bath and dinner and all that stuff. And if it's an urgent thing, yes, I will answer or message back. But at the end of the day, we're not going to accomplish anything at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So it can wait till the morning.
Yep.
So I am really working on that, and I've done a lot better, spending more time with my family.
And once you respond to that message at 8, 9 o'clock, now you set the expectation with your client that it's okay for them to do that, and you're going to respond. So if you do it once, you're going to have to do it again, you're going to have to do it again, you're going to have to do it again. And that, again, is eliminating that balance. So you really need to ask yourself, who's controlling your business? Is it you?
Right.
Or is it your clients? And if it's your clients, you got to make changes.
Otherwise, you will just drive yourself crazy. You'll be so stressed out. And like, I have 3 people messaging me at 9 o'clock at night. Who do I pick? Who's most important? And it's like, well, they're all important.
Yeah.
And I will get to them when I have time or when the title company opens or something like that.
When you take control of your business.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So where do you see, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but looking in the next 6 to 12, 18 months, where do you think we're going to be at market-wise?
I think we're going to stay the same.
Yeah.
I don't see anything going up or down. I mean, possibly interest rates lowering a little bit, but I don't see anything ever going back to that 2s and 3s. And I know it's fresh to people, but those were artificially made interest rates. So once they get that out of their head, that it's not going back, we are here to help navigate that process and obviously net the most for our sellers and get our buyers the best deals possible.
Yep. And we've been talking about follow-up. Lead follow-up, being relentless with that. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of agents underestimate the amount of work and the amount of conversations you have to have just to convert one lead. So what have you learned through that lead follow-up process, and how has things changed regarding your lead follow-up?
So I've had a few deals to where they went with other real estate agents. And like we said, that hurts immensely because you're like, what do you mean? Did I not do a good job for you? Well, no, it was my follow-up. I didn't remind them that I'm still here and that I'm here to help. And, we have this new program out or something like that. But other than that, like my lead follow-up, I've done way better with my sphere, my past clients, because those are the people that are going to be referring your name out. So you need to touch base with them. You need to keep up with them, even if it's just saying, hey, how's everything going?
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be real estate related because soon enough they're going to be like, I'm not answering that phone call because she just wants to ask me if I want to sell my house.
Right. It's building that relationship like we've talked about. It's not just, hey, I'm not asking you for something. I'm not trying to just get business out of you. I just want to build that relationship, see how things are going, and keep in contact.
And just let them know that you're there. I mean, if they have questions, I've even told people I offer equity reports. I would take advantage of that. I mean, your real estate is like the most expensive thing you probably have in your life. Mm-hmm. And why not monitor that? Know if you can pull out an equity loan to, maybe buy a rental home with that.
Yep.
So just making them aware of what's going on and doing market reports just to see where you are. It doesn't mean you have to sell, but just knowing how much equity you have in your home.
How did you even get started into the rental properties? How did that even come about?
Once again, my dad. He had rentals all his life. He's like, I'm sick of handling them, but that'd be a good option for you, especially starting out, getting a feel for it and seeing if it's something you want to go through. And, we have a great renter right now. I've had some not so great ones, but you just navigate it. And I think it's a great opportunity if somebody can own a rental. I mean, there's such a huge demand for them right now anyway.
Oh, yeah. Rents are to the roof right now. And even at 7% interest rate, you're still cash flowing enough to where it makes sense. It is a pain, though, if you're not going to stick on your renter, if you're not going to demand and stay on them about paying, they ain't going to pay you. So it requires follow-up.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
just
everything
having
else.
A good relationship, too, and being there for them if they need anything, obviously. And then you have the ones, you're always going to have those that don't want to pay and don't want to do anything.
And you got to kick them out. So we're rolling up on about 20. Is there what kind of advice would you give to any agent, whether they're new or maybe they're younger or whatever? What advice would you give to help an agent succeed right now?
What I would say is get a good mentor. Have somebody that has already gone through all those things that work and don't work and kind of navigate you down a path of success, because when I started out, I didn't have the direction and I tried everything and, spent a lot of money on like advertising that didn't pay out. So just getting somebody that can help you kind of hold your hand through it. You're going to be your own boss, but you have to have that discipline to get up, go to work every day and do it, but just having somebody there to bounce ideas off of.
Yep, or come to the coaching program. That's what we're for, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
I was so against it. And I was like, I don't want to pay you. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This was really, really helpful. It gets you on track. It navigates you to success. We broke it down day by day, hour by hour, what I need to do. And we're on track right now.
So it's been worth it?
Yes, definitely.
Good, good. See, that's a true testimony. I didn't pay her to say that. So good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was awesome.
Thank you.
I hope you guys get a lot of value out of that. Like this video, comment. We love to hear your feedback. And as always, if anyone out there want to come on and talk about something, shoot me a message and I'd be more than happy to talk to you guys.
All right.
See you guys.